Hey everybody, today we're going to be rebuilding the staircase, so thought I'd give you guys a quick look around the job site here, as well as a quick glance at some of the tools we're going to be using. Then I'm going to bang out a step or two, and then we're going to go through it step by step and maybe teach people how to bust their own fingers with hammers, or build a staircase by themselves.
Hammers, chisels, levels, coffee, music, we had tape measure, pencils, brushes, things like that. The stone selection we get is pretty good. A whole bunch of extra flagstone. About a quarter, half pallet of some 4-inch Colorado red strip, and 16 stair treads. The backfill we're using comes from the property here. It's decomposed granite, a little bit of dirt, some rocks. It's going to form a good matrix, and it's not going to swell too much or take in too much water, which is what we want to give our staircase as long a life as possible. Down at the bottom of the steps, we set up a level off of the lower porch to be able to start our first step at. Set up a good base and make sure that we've gone wide enough to match up with our stair width and our tread width. On top of the hill, we sort through the pile and see if we can find a good tread for our very first step. 6 3/4 is the magic number, minus the height of our tread, plus the depth of any toe in is going to give us the approximate height of the 4-inch strip piece we're going to need. To square off our visible edges, we're going to take a square and make little marks around all 4 sides of the stone. This will give us a nice breaking point for scoring down first the initial face of the stone. Not going to follow through too much, you don't want to cleft anything off, just enough where you can follow through on all 4 sides with light taps. We're looking for a clean break through that'll again give us an edge that we can look at from the side of the step. Enough times around, ideally, something splits like that. Next, you can go in with a smaller detail tracer chisel and get a nice clean edge to that stone. Levels, levels, levels. You can never put your level too much on a stone. You can never really get a stone too level. Well, okay. Maybe there's not much more than level, but level's good. Next, we find the height of what stone is needed to complete the wings of our base. We go through it again, tracing on this stone, following through a little more, since it's not necessarily a finished face piece. After a couple hammer swings, the thing clefts in two. Those halves are then placed at a 90-degree angle to our front face and tamped down, made sure they're also level on the top surface for our incoming tread. The space in between these can be filled with any junk rock, scrap, or backfill that you have, but you do want to have it filled fully, tamped down, and level. That way, you can pop on that tread piece and check the levels, front, back, little positive drainage, and you have step number 1. The tracing technique is used to break stone in a variety of ways. Along a strata line, we can use this to adjust the height of a 4-inch strip stone that we need for any sort of a riser piece. We can also use the tracing technique to split flagstone. Rinse and repeat. Feel free to leave the small voids for later, as long as they're not structural. For cutting a non-faced flagstone edge, we bring out a different style of chisel, the pitch. These tips are set at a different angle and distribute the shock through the rock in a separate way. This is good for getting a nice clean line when you know you're not going to be looking at the edge. Those corners though, those will blow out. You want to attack those from the side. And if you have a funky wrist bend like that, you got to lift the rock up and hit it on its edge like this. That's going to clean it up from the side, and you can switch now to another smaller pitch and go ahead and just take that out furthest point at a time. Now this is going to leave some bumps along our edge, which we can take out with our point. This is a very slight tap. You really don't want to follow through at all on this. That's going to give you a little cleaner edge and be able to pull that rock closer and give you a nice joint. Speaking of, all of your joints want to have a separation of at least 4 inches from each other as well as from any end surfaces. Now, even though I've shown a pretty good variety of tools, you can get through most home projects with a rather small selection. but the best tool to have is the rock stretcher. A nearly perfect rock can be made two perfect rocks by adding a 1/2-inch joint as long as structure and pattern allows. We're only a couple steps from the top of the staircase now, but I want the top tread to mix well with the top of this entranceway, which has yet to have stone put onto it. Foreman Deer was kind enough to show up and point out the fact that I have maybe 3/4 of a pallet of flagstone left. I think Foreman Deer has a good idea. I get to work thinking I can just blow through this in a day or two. Little did I know, Mother Nature had other plans. I figured maybe the afternoon off. Okay, maybe the rest of the day. Oh really? Yeah, sweet. Next day is not looking too good either, but the day after that, it warms up enough where my other boss figures that we can get off our butts and get back to work. Or at least I can. Unfortunately, now, all the treadstones I have are either bowed or warped, and the rest of the flagstone is delaminating on me. Low on materials, I take the rest of the day to clean up the site, taking one pile all the way to the back of the yard and making another pile with it. By the end of it, I think everyone's had a pretty good day of work. The following morning, Brian helps me out with the materials run. A little bit of quickcrete, some more stone, some sand, and so forth. We're all stocked up and ready to get back to work. Since the weather has decided to cooperate again, finishing what's left of the staircase turns out to be not too tough. Now what we need to do is try to mix the themes, bring in a little bit of each of the staircases to the other. This is going to be done with cutting some wave patterns. First, a light score cut, making sure not to go too deep. This is just going to be the lines for our deeper cuts, which on the positive side of our curve, we're going to cut to the outside, negative curve to the inside. We're going to repeat this deep cutting pattern until we get an edge that we can just pop off and clean up rather nicely with that 4-inch grinder. We're going to lay that on our other tread piece. Go ahead and cut that off. Be sure to mark which side of the stone you don't need. And these come together very nicely in a tread piece, which is going to go ahead and mimic the curves of our entranceway just to the left. Staircase, ta-da! A formal edge on the entry will bring it all together. The bucket has blown away sometime in the storm, so I go down the hill to find the bucket. Bucket? Oh, there's the bucket. Bucket, I was worried. Now I need you to help me mix some mortar because the weather's so... Oh, really? Really? Really now? Fast forward 2 days, and the very last stone breaks in my hands as I'm leveling it. This means I get to go down the hill again and run to the stone yard to pick up one more piece of stone. Finish things off by tuck pointing those joints full of a little bit of a drier mix, and you have yourself a patio. And, well, and also a staircase. And that's it for this year.
Tell me who's your daddy? Who's your daddy now? Tell me who's your daddy?